Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tanks Invest, talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's terms only, the investment talk today would be Ethereum Tech ETH. So it's my second posting as of today. In respect to recording time of 5:35 p.m. on Eastern time, Ethereum's currently trading $3,945, up about 0.98%, so kind of up about 1% so far. With respect to other altcoin, it's relatively red today, down about 1% respectively, besides Solana reaching the all-time high today, hitting the $165 mark, up about 15.92% so far, while XRP is also up respectively as well, 7.57%, trading at $1.40 mark at the current moment. So with respect to some of the news that is driving specifically for Ethereum, I would say collectively we don't have a lot of additional substantive news, if you may, per the first video that we posted this morning. And apologies for my lethargic presentation. I am relatively tired. I just woke up from a small power nap, I guess. I slept from basically 1 p.m. all the way till like 4:45 p.m. today. I don't want to sleep too much because I definitely want to sleep back into a normal course of cadence. Even though it's only like a 3 hours difference, but the West Coast versus East Coast type of time changes, especially on top of the long red eye flight that I had last night, is making me kind of out of it to be. But I also don't want to chase it with coffee because it's getting late already. But with respect to some of the news, going back to the topic of discussions, we're not talking about coffee or sleeping. So with respect to some of the news on Ethereum specifically, some news came out from Cointelegraph about 5 hours ago. With respect to Link, ticker LINK. The price of the crypto locks in at 36% gains following the Ethereum Layer 2's Layer 2's chain links integration. So the price has dramatically surged because of the integration, but with respect to the durations of how long is the price level going to be sustainable for going forward, based on my high level read so far, it seems like more of buy the news, sell the rumors type of affectation. Not really many driven by anything specifically for Link on in terms of value proposition, but rather more of a correlation effect coming from obviously the layer 2 chain link integration. Another news coming from Decrypt talking about with respect to Ethereum layer 2. Now it's over 1 billion of locked up in Ethereum layer 2.0 scaling solution. So another regurgitation news talking about with respect to this transition that we've had recently, and what is the subsequent implementation in the architectural perspective to further improve our long-term value proposition for Ethereum. Another one coming from Bloomberg about 7 hours ago, seems like they're trying to pump Solana. Talk about Ethereum rival Solana climbs up to the 7th place in crypto top 10. So obviously, in terms of market cap, Solana is still, still moons away from obviously Cardano. But it seems like with respect to the surge that we're experiencing right now, and we could take a look at that real quick on a technical front, we are basically, wow, this is extremely overbought. This is a lot of FOMO going on at the same time. You could see there are a lot of small whale transactions. Small whale transaction, that's kind of an oxymoron. But at the same time, a lot of small retail investors chasing in at the same time. And you see that major news today, and causing Solana to drive up to the way that it is today. So this is definitely very scary, because it took how many days for us to get there? Like, literally less than a week, to be honest with you. To reach from $67 to add $100 on top of this. So this is definitely on the extreme euphoria phase at the moment for Solana. But what would be the right advice would be, I think if you want to hold this for a long term, maybe take some profit, because this is right? Whatever goes really, really fast comes down just as fast. Or maybe you could just like watch until the MACD curve down a little bit, or wait until the RSI deplete a little bit. You know, you'll start to see some sort of a curvature coming up, but we don't see it yet, so we might actually keep leaping up because 168 is technically not a substantive number nor a flat number in a numeric perspective. So interesting to know, but risk is definitely extraordinary high at the moment for Solana. But if you want to hold it for a long term, just hold it for a long term. Because if you believe in long term power proposition, you know, it's still ranked number 6, which just has a long way to go in comparisons to other coin, right? So off topic, going back to Ethereum. So with respect to, you know, the news that we talked about, there isn't really any additional news that is really worth mentioning. But you know, beside the regurgitation news talking about with respect to how much Ethereum has been burned so far. So ever since the transition to EIP 1559 on the London fork, approximately over 200,000 Ethereum has been burned so far. So up subsequently will drive some imbalance into supply and demand dynamics, but also on top of the NFT surge on the commercialization front. That's driving a lot of you know, public awareness. Also on the consecutive positive news I've been having so far, despite the negative foreshadow, obviously coming from, you know, the job numbers that we've had last week, and also with respect to the foreshadow on the SEC compliance restrictions or the Fed's you know, stepping up by implementing crypto bills or further revision, etc., etc. That could subsequently hinder some short-term volatility for crypto, but good for long-term, obviously, for compliance reasons, which is necessary. And then some other ones are, you know, pretty much regurgitation news that we have already talked about. Talk about like Bored Ape Yachts Club, and obviously comparing Ethereum with Baby Dogecoin, which is just another juxtaposition news. So talk about more specifically for Ethereum. I've been getting some questions like, are we in the euphoria phase still, or are we still in the complacency stage? You know, I think we are. I think we are still within the complacency stage, despite, you know, there's a lot of mixed signal, right? Would this technically be the bottom, right? We have to kind of confirm, right? Because this is still like, you know, we're also on a sideways fashion. If we were in the euphoria phase, we would keep searching up relatively dramatically to be above all-time high with the current pump that we've had ever since the B-Word Summit on the 20th, right? And ever since that, we've been surging up. And then we oscillate for on a sideways fashion for about a month, technically, right? If you think about it. So this oscillation is definitely trying to sustain to say that we are keep leaping up, right? And then we have the NFT commercialization adoption news. And we also see some whales buying in on Bitcoin, which also have drag effects onto Ethereum purchasing supply and demand dynamics. So right now, if we compare this with the cheat sheet, right, it seems that we had that all-time high, and we're still kind of, you know, struggling. We dipped all the way to the $1, not the $1, 1,750, and then hover back up to reach or try to reach the all-time high again. It seems like we are somewhere around here. It's like we need to cool off, right? Like obviously this is what we are convincing ourselves that's happening, right? We need to cool off, right? Because whatever goes up really fast, we need to cool off a little bit. That's what we were thinking, and that's why we're forming this upward wedge. And then we have that last hurrah, right? And this seems like this last hurrah is relatively large, capturing, you know, more of the short-term investor chasing the pump, and some people got rewarded and take some profit from there, right? And now it seems like we are struggling, right? We kind of oscillate on a sideways fashion, try to stay above 3,900 or stay about 3,850 at least, which if technically that's the next level of consolidation, right? We have a bunch right here, at least like 6 times, 7, 8, 9 times on top. But if we break that, the next level will definitely lead back down to 3,400. But if you think about that, that's really a non-substantive level as well. We have like a 1 consolidation, 2, 3, 4, 5. But there isn't really anything substantive there, right? The next technical substantiveness is somewhere around 3,000 with all of these oscillations, right? So, not sure if we are still in the euphoria phase, because this is too much like the lost hurrah on what we have been talking about so far. Um, but we have to confirm it, right? Um, and how likely can we keep leaping up on top of the fact that the RSI is already extremely overbought? I mean, unless we're seeing the Solana effects, right? Because Solana, if you look at how overbought we are in Mars right now, or in Neptune or something like that. We are extremely, extremely stretched up, and I think the sell-off is going to be relatively negative or ugly, right? Whatever goes up really, really fast comes down just as fast. So for me, Ethereum, I will still just kind of cool off and wait off, knowing the fact that we are slowly seeing the curvature already. When you see Solana's, there's no curvature being formed at all. It's still leap up and away at the moment, right? So with respect to Ethereum, I'm just staying within my frames of reference, and I want to expand this a little bit. Sorry. So with respect to the level, I would still ideally buy at the 3,000, 2,750, and 2,450. Despite all the positive news, it seems like the public investors are convinced that we are keep pumping up, which I get it, but we have to also understand that we have already pumped up for a month and a week so far, ever since the B Word Summit. The whales have bought in at the 2,450, 2,750. The lost hurrah seems like we are, and in terms of like the comparable characteristics on the cheat sheets versus the actual chart that we're looking at, I give it maybe like a 75% of resemblance, right? And obviously it's not completely identical because nothing is ever identical in the cheat sheet, right? So, but something is, for reference, right? In terms of like the risk tolerance and the risk profile, is it good to buy now? Would this be a good execution? I think it would be a bad execution if we buy now, right? But that's again my risk aversion, my risk tolerance is for your reference only. But if you're buying now long term wise, if you hold, right, your patience will always pay off, right? And you can see that the adoption level or just amount that we will burn going forward, reaching 5 digit above $25,000 in the next 3 to 5 years wouldn't be surprising to me, or even reach higher to 100K someday, which would be enormous, right? I don't know how realistic that is, but I've been seeing some posts about like how would we get there, right? That's interesting. I think Bitcoin will get there, obviously, but Ethereum, that's a long way to go, right? Maybe 10 years from now. But anyways, that's just more of speculations without any real substance. So I try to stay away from that, right? But so today's a Labor Day, so I don't want to take too much of your time. And apologies for my lack of professional attire that I have, wearing a baseball cap backwards. But it's a relatively chill day, so hopefully you guys have a great time with your family and friends as well in the US that are taking some time off. And yeah, feel free to give me a shout if you have any questions, and stay tuned for this coming up. Take care. Bye.